Hello! Welcome to Season 2 of Caffeinated CX. That's right, Season 2. Is there any logical means to what constitutes a season? Nope. Just wanted to. Just wanted to have Season 2. And that's fine. That is fine. That is dandy. That is peachy keen and squeaky clean. All right. So, let's get started. Yeah? Yeah, you want to get started? Let's get started. All right. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Welcome back to another episode of Caffeinated CX, where we talk about CX and stuff, all in a hyper-caffeinated state. I'm David, the Caffeinated CXO, and as always, I'm your host here. Now, this season is going to come with a few surprises, maybe even some guests, but not yet, not for this episode. This is the first episode of Season 2, and we're going to talk about spaghetti. That's right. Spaghetti. So let's talk about it. Let's bring you up to speed on what's going on. Although you have eyes, you have ears, you have wallets, so I think you know what's going on. So let's just dive right in. Check out that jump cut. That jump cut was amazing. All right. So this is the job report that just came out. This was published on April 5th, so about 10-ish days ago. Job growth zoomed in March as payrolls jumped by 303,000 and unemployment dropped to 3.8%. Well, that sounds good, doesn't it? That sounds great. So, non-farm payrolls increased 303,000 for the month, well above the Dow Jones estimate for a rise of 200,000. That sounds fantastic. The unemployment rate edged lower to 3.8% as expected, even though the labor force participation rate moved higher to 62.7%. Wages rose 0.3% for the month and 4.1% from a year ago, both in line with Wall Street estimates. Healthcare led with 72,000 new jobs, followed by government, 71,000, leisure and hospitality, 49,000, and construction, 39,000. What'd they need 71,000 jobs for? Oh well, okay. So, job creation in March easily topped expectations and a sign of continued acceleration for what has been a bustling and resilient labor market. Non-farm payrolls increased 303,000 for the month, well above the Dow Jones estimate for a rise of 200,000 and higher than the downwardly revised 270,000 gain in February, the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics reported on Friday. I wonder what this one is going to be downwardly revised to. Here, if you're watching, there's a nice little chart. Okay. The unemployment rate edged lower to 3.8% as expected, even though the labor force participation rate moved higher to 62.7, a gain of 0.2 percentage point from February. A broader measure that includes discouraged workers and those holding part-time positions for economic reasons held steady at 7.3%. And the key average hourly earnings measure, wages rose 0.3% for the month and 4.1% from a year ago, both in line with Wall Street estimates. And we love those Wall Street estimates, don't we, boys? So, year over year percent change in average hourly earning in the US. I don't think down is good. I could be reading that wrong, but it it's down. All right, cool. Yep. Maybe that's a good thing. Huh. I don't know. Growth came from many of the usual sectors that have powered gains in recent months: healthcare, followed by government, leisure and hospitality, construction, retail trade contributed 18,000, while the other services category added 16,000. What's the other services? OnlyFans? The February revision was just 5,000 lower, while the January revision brought that total up by 27,000 to 156,000, still well below the initial estimate of 353,000. This is a really strong report, said Lauren Goodwin, economist and chief market strategist at New York Life Investments. This report and the February report showed some broadening in terms of job creation, which is a very good sign. Isn't it? Despite the move lower in the broader unemployment level, the rate of black people surged to 6.4%, a gain of 0.8 percentage point, tying the highest level since August of 2022. Rates for Asians and Hispanics both fell sharply to 2.5% and 4.5% respectively. A string of positive gains has kept unemployment below 4% since January of 2022, though there have been signs of cracks. For instance, the level of household employment has grown only modestly over the past year, while temporary employment has declined sharply. However, the household survey, which is used to calculate the unemployment rate, posted an even more robust gain in March, up 498,000, more than absorbing the 469,000 increase in the civilian labor force level. Gains tilted heavily to part-time workers in the household survey. Full-time workers fell by 6,000, while part-timers increased by 691,000. Multiple job holders rose by 217,000 to 5.2% of the total employment level. But it's very good. It's a very strong report. Markets have been keeping close watch over the employment data, particularly as the Federal Reserve weighs in its next moves on monetary policy. Stocks have tumbled this week amid concerns that a strong labor market and resilient economy could keep the central bank on hold for longer than expected. Stock market futures rose following the report, while Treasury yields also added to gains. The Fed is looking to guide inflation back down to 2% annually, a goal that has proven elusive, even as the rate of price gains has decelerated from its peak in mid-2022. Most measures have inflation running above 3%, though the Fed's preferred gauge is below that level. Market pricing is pointing towards the first interest rate cut coming in June, though several Fed officials, including Chair Jerome Powell, this week indicated they prefer to take a cautious, data-dependent approach. The BLS on Wednesday is scheduled to release its Consumer Price Index reading for March. Okay. Love it. Love the ad. Okay, so, and then this article that came out on the 10th, so 5-ish days ago, grocery prices re-accelerate, now 25% higher than pre-pandemic. Like the rest of inflation data, grocery prices are coming in hotter after slightly moderating last year. The cost of groceries remained flat in March and is up 1.2% year over year, according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is the first month of year-over-year acceleration in U.S. grocery prices since August of 2022, breaking an 18-month streak of deceleration, per a note from J.P. Morgan analyst Ken Goldman. Since COVID began in March of 2020, the cost of food at home has jumped 24.6%. It's probably more than that, as I'll show you in a few minutes. But the cost of dining out continues to grow at a higher pace due to persistent labor inflation, higher commodities costs, and other reasons. What other reasons? Don't worry about it. Since COVID, the price of dining out has increased 25.6%. In March, meals at restaurants and bars cost 4.2 more than a year ago, though it's the smallest 12-month change since June of 2021, per BLS economist Steve Reed. Prices are up 0.3% compared to February. Reed said that restaurant prices have been a little bit slower to decelerate, but it has, sort of, finally been decelerating recently. Love that answer. Consumers are still paying up, Wells Fargo agricultural economist Michael Swanson told Yahoo Finance. As consumers, we haven't said no yet. When you go out and look at restaurants, they're still quite full. So the restaurant industry is saying, okay, well, if the demand is there, I'm going to price accordingly, Swanson said. Here's a little chart with food inflation. That's crazy. So that's nuts. Some grocery items are cheaper compared to the month prior, including cereal and bakery products, ham, shelf-stable fish and seafood, ice cream, and other products, butter, and peanut butter. Wow. Butter's down 5%. Not at my local supermarkets. Cereal and bakery products saw their largest month-over-month decrease since the BLS first started monitoring the index in 1989. Swanson said competition has caught up for producers within this category, driving down prices. They're really starting to focus on market share. They're using those promotions, whether it's buy one, get one, coupons, all those traditional ways of trying to get consumers to buy their brand and not somebody else's. Butter saw its biggest month-over-month drop since May of 2002, while sugar and sweets had their largest decline since July of 2020. The category has been under pressure as cocoa prices surpassed $10,000 per metric ton for the first time last month. Compared to a year ago, sweets are up 4.3% as producers face higher costs when it comes to ingredients, packing, labor, and transportation. The consumer is thinking sweets companies are making outrageous profits, but when we look at the industry standards, they're well below where they were pre-COVID, even further below where they were maybe 5-6 years ago. For example, Hershey's operating profit declined 11.8% year over year to only $464.3 million in fourth quarter 2023. Prices ticked higher in March in categories such as eggs, lettuce, pork, poultry, and beef. When it comes to eggs, the cost of a dozen large grade A eggs is 1 cent lower compared to February and now sits at $2.99. Prices are down 6.8% year over year, but the index is very volatile. Last week, U.S. egg producer Cal-Maine Foods, or CALM, reported another case of avian influenza, or bird flu, at its Texas facility. The impact of the flu cannot be eliminated entirely, said Swanson, so now the industry has to focus on reducing the severity of the issue and mitigating the spread of the disease. Lettuce, for some reason, saw the highest monthly jump since July of 2019, up about 6% in March and up another 6% compared to last year. So, as seasonality and trucking costs created volatility in pricing. Beef and veal prices are up 7.6% compared to last year as cattle supply remained lower. The cost of ground beef saw an increase of 20 cents last month to $5.42 per pound. Swanson said the sticking point is that producers are finding that it's not very profitable even at today's prices. People need to make a living, whether it's fixing cars or being nurses or being bankers or being farmers. They need to make a living. Today, we simply can't have $3 or $4 hamburgers, he said. Oh, that's the article. So let's check out some comments because these are always fun, right? Oh, okay. Since COVID began in March 2020, the cost of food at home has jumped 24.6%. I'm not sure how they measure it, but around here it's closer to 60%. Multiply the headline inflation numbers by 2x and one gets close to reality. Food is worse than that. Okay, just, political bantering. The real numbers would be too scary for the population. Not sure where they got the 25% figure from. Almost everything on the grocery bill has gone up double, while the boxes have the same frontal area but only half as thick. This shrinkflation makes doubling the price for half the volume actually more like 200% inflation increase. Yep. So, let's see. If I'm not mistaken, we now spend more on the interest to the national debt than we do on defense. That's probably true, but what the heck does that have to do with this? If food and energy were included in the inflation rate, the true inflation rate would be closer to 50%. We are being bamboozled by the government's lies. Anyone filling up their gas tank, heating oil, propane, buying food, buying clothes, etc., know that inflation is skyrocketing. I don't know why people have to bring, the president in and stuff like this. It's like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. But, I went to Costco today. I got 9 food items. Total bill was $79.84. Yeah. U.S. government debt is growing faster and faster. Both parties to blame, but Biden was handed a great economy. He's had unemployment below 4% almost his entire 3-year run, and each year's deficit is almost $2,000 billion. That's $2 trillion. If Washington can't balance the budget with a fully employed economy, then they should all be fired. We are going down after a long period of high inflation. So basically the consensus is it's a lot more than 25%. So, case in point, I posted this about a week ago because I got mad. Kind of. Okay. So, for decades, you could make a family spaghetti dinner for less than $8, and that's with splurging on cheese and garlic bread. So, this is what it was for decades. I know this because it was my go-to day before payday meal, right? For the family. You could get a pound of pasta for 99 cents. That's the store brand. It had never changed from that price as far back as I can remember buying my own groceries, right? You could get a store brand pasta sauce jar for $1.50 or so, right? You could go even cheaper with the little 99-cent cans of sauce like Hunt's or the other one, right? They're on the bottom shelf of most grocery stores. Yep. Store brand bakery garlic bread, the one that you get from the bakery, is on the big French loaves, right? $2.99, right? $1.99 store brand shredded cheese. Nothing fancy. I'm talking about like the shredded mozzarella, the store brand, Kroger, or what have you. Right? Now that adds up to $7.47. With enough for a family of 4 with some leftovers for next day's lunch. Right? So that's a lot of spaghetti. Economic. And now, and this has been going on for like a year now, right? Store brand pasta, which historically has been 99 cents or less, is now up to $1.29. Now, that same jar of sauce, $1.99. That canned stuff, the cheap stuff, the stuff on the bottom shelf, $1.59. Now, that garlic bread, if you're lucky, gone up $1, right? To $3.99 for a smaller loaf. and $2.99 if you're lucky for store brand shredded cheese. And it's not 16 ounces anymore. It's like 12 ounces or 10 ounces depending on what store you go to. So that's $10.26. And since, like I already mentioned, the loaf of garlic bread is smaller and the cheese has less in it, you're getting less for more. Oh, yeah. And if you're in California or a few other states, it's 10 cents for the little plastic bag for the privilege of getting one of their branded bags that'll probably break by the time you get to the car. So, rates it up to $10.36. $2.89 more now than what it used to be for decades. That doesn't sound like much on the surface, right? But it's across the board. People are struggling. You can see this with not only the amounts that people are financing, but what they're choosing to finance. So, how does this tie in to customer experience and everything else? People are struggling. People are floating bills. People are now financing things that they never would have financed before. I knew things were getting rough when the big push towards buy now, pay over 4 times later came into fruition, right? Have I used those? Yes. Yes. But it is not a sign of a strong economy to have those options for fairly inexpensive things. Like, I was given the option to pay over 4 times for a hat that was $30. Did I take it? Yes. Did I like taking it? No. And that's not because I couldn't afford the $40, right? Or the $30. It's because I wanted to see how it worked. I'm sure a lot of people have done that. There are other people that are using that to survive. So, and when we looked at that job report, full-time jobs increased. Actually, full-time workers fell by 6,000. Part-time increased by 691,000. People with more than one job rose by 217,000. We need to have some compassion and some empathy for our customers. I'm not saying cut costs, right? I'm not saying get rid of your profit margin. No. You need those to keep the doors open, to keep the lights on, to keep your employees happy. So that when this economy turns around, you're still there, right? So, what are some ways your company can make things a little easier for your customer base? Well, let's take a look. The first one you can do is flexible payment options, like Klarna, right? Or financing, especially if you have big ticket items, right? Nobody wants to spend 30 grand right now, no matter what it's for. 30 grand is a lot. There's a lot of insecurity right now. And to kick it all off and to ramp up things, it's an election year. And I don't know if you've noticed, but elections, at least in the United States, in the last 2 decades, have gotten more and more silly. It is what it is. So, you could have things like deferred payments or installment plans, discounts for early payments, shit like that. Right? You could have more discounts and promotions. So, Value-added services, you could provide additional services or features at no cost that enhance the value of your offerings. That could be things like extended warranties, free shipping, complimentary training, things like that. Customized solutions, financial education, community support, efficiency improvements. Look for ways to improve efficiency in your operations to reduce costs without compromising quality. This could involve streamlining processes, reducing waste, investing in technology, shit like that. Right? You can have some customer loyalty programs like you're a grocery store. It's fine. Let's see, transparency, communication. If you have to shrink your packages down, instead of putting it in like little tiny fine print that what was once 16 ounces is now 10 ounces, be a little transparent with that, right? So it's the same price. Picking it up, right? Just do it. And then, the obvious, what we always go towards, the competitive advantage in times like these, the customer experience. Why? Because people are reeling right now. People are nervous. People are clutching their wallets and their purses tighter to themselves because they don't know where this is going to go. They don't know when this is going to end. Nobody does. So have a little empathy. Have a little compassion. Reach out to your customers. Be nice to your customers. I know everybody's going through what is a very stressful time, and it feels like we've been on this same roller coaster since 2008. So it is what it is. So what are you going to do? So if you've made it this far, thank you once again for tuning in to Caffeinated CX. What can we do about it? What can we do about this? Well, I don't know. But go ahead. Here's something you can do. Go ahead, like, review, subscribe to the show, and share the show so we can make the show grow. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.